hypothetical viewers, and welcome back to Shining Force 2. We I always see these intros at the beginning of like, this is what we're doing, and it's like someone who was watching this wouldn't have any gap between this and the last one, whereas I do. So the hypothetical viewer would know more than me about what was going on. Anyway, we finally defeated Gordon. I almost called him Gordo, which is not his name, but Gordon. And he insinuated that Prince Nick and his army have been defeated and he's in trouble. So, and then a mysterious voice, who I'm guessing is Hild or whatever his name was. I may have forgotten his name. The dude who's the double crosser, but the guy in the helmet. But that's probably it was him. The voice suggested that we should go to Portobello to find out the truth. So we are doing that basically. Mayfair is very worried about Prince Nick and like whether he's in trouble. To regard this as like a heavily guarded fortress, basically. So this may be a long battle. Oh no, it's Iom's men. What did you expect, Mayfair? We are going here to find out about what Iom is doing. I assumed they would conquer the fort. Look, the Cyprus army. Did Gordon fall? I like how we're just also idiots who just walk straight into this place and get spotted. We don't even try to like sneak in. Don't allow them to take to the sea. They've spotted us. Oh, of course, it was Eric, Luke, and Jaha who got spotted. That makes perfect sense then, actually. That's what they would do. There's only one way out. And as usual, that way is battle, because this is a strategy RPG, so we don't have a lot of other tools in our toolbox. Okay, let's check the map. Yes, this is basically like a ginormous fortress. I don't know if it's something to do with the emulator or what, that like... If you look at the enemies sort of portrayed on the right side of the screen, where the red dots are kind of blinking at a steady rate, some of the others are kind of like flickering in and out, and I'm wondering if that's something going on with the emulator, like, because I feel like I don't remember doing that when I was a kid. That might be an emulation error. Anyway, so it's basically a giant armored fort. We have to enter it through the two staircases, so we'll start with kind of a little bottleneck there, which could be a little tricky. Yeah, basically we gotta make our way in and around until we can fight. I think the boss's level is this guy here, the Master Mage, who has Blaze 3, so he's quite dangerous. We have other new enemies too. We have the Brass Loader, which we've seen in other Shining Force games. The Pegasus Knight. We got some priests to heal up the enemies and annoy us. More zombies, hell snipers. Oh, we still have these fucking rat flies. When are we gonna be done with the rat flies? And we have the skeleton. So we have a fair crowd of different enemies here. One chest as well. So we really don't have to go up here at all. We should probably just go this way and have one person grab the chest while the rest fight the mage. Yeah, so when you think about it, the entire left side of the map is not needed. I guess they just wanted it to be symmetrical. Unless the Master Mage, maybe he like walks over here during the battle so that there's a point to it. I don't know. In any case, oh, and let's just take a quick peek at our forces. We're all doing pretty well in level, but Chester and May did not yet get to level 10, and neither did Natasha, so we'll try and get them some levels. Oh man, I'm about to sneeze. 1 sec. Okay, sneeze achieved. Oh man. Always when I'm recording. Oof, I think that the desk that I have my computer on, maybe it's like a little dusty. I should probably vacuum. Just some tidbits about my life and my my dusty ass room. Okay, did we have skeletons before? I think skeletons may be a new enemy in this battle. There's actually quite a few new enemies, and as usual, the battle background looks very nice. It's kind of plain because it's a stone fortress, so it's justifiable, right? It's not that like fancy of a location, but it's nicely sprited, and it certainly evokes the stone fortress look well. I think the shading is nice, even though it's a little plain. At least it has kind of the staircases and like the different like crenellation and stuff to, you know, to kind of break up the monotony. So like it's nicely made, but yeah, it's not one of my faves but I think that's justifiable because it's like it's a stone fortress. How exciting is it gonna look? The outdoor ones, like with the you know, grass and trees and stuff, they tend to be the nicest looking because they just look really lush and just lively. Yeah, I guess this is these trees, you can't walk on them, so the beginning of this map is just all bottlenecks, which is a little annoying. Because I feel like the bottlenecks, I feel like they're not super strategic. They just make it slow. And games where there's just a lot of waiting and they're slow do tend to annoy me a bit. Maybe I'm just too impatient as a gamer, but even though I gotta say, I have the patience to level grind for hours and hours, but that feels like something I'm choosing to do. It's goal directed. It's like I want to get all my characters up to X level, so I'm willing to sit here and do it. But where's something where it's like I want to continue with the battle, but I have to wait for my characters to walk through this narrow space. That's something where I'm just like, this is tedious. So I tend to get annoyed by things like that in games. Excellence. Natasha's up to level 10. Gonna try and get her an additional level too, just so, you know, we keep her on par. Because that's the thing, if one character's behind and everyone gets an equal amount of X, they'll still be behind. So I want to get her like a little extra X. Along with our other buddies. Is Slade even gonna do meaningful damage here? Did anyone get? I guess Ben got injured, but he can't get melee with Ben to use heal level 1. Oh nice, he actually did some good damage. I wanna always be using heal level 1 if I can, because that way I can get the most X out of the spell. Because you don't get more X for casting the higher level versions, which is fascinating. Let's start tagging this rat fly, I guess. I feel like the rat flies are probably going to be replaced with upgraded enemies soon, because they are really, we've had them since like the beginning of the game practically. They're not very strong at this point. They're still annoying because they can put you to sleep, but you know, as a threat, they don't do a lot of damage. Yeah, we had rat flies in literally the second battle, so they've been here for quite a stretch. Oh man, this enemy is a lot more threatening. The Hell Sniper is just murdering poor Slade. Sorry, little buddy. You're very weak is the main issue. So let's have Eric switch to the Steel Lance. Just, this battle may be a little slow just because it's like, it's a very large map and we have to walk across it. As per usual in Shining Force. We're actually, this battle and the next one are the last battles in Chapter 2, so we are pretty close to moving on to Chapter 3. We're really making record time in this game, which isn't very long. And then after this one, I guess I'll do Shining Force Final Conflict, and then I'll have to figure out how we can emulate Shining Force 3, if at all. Yeah, because basically I mentioned this in a previous video, but since there was no English version of it, only the first scenario ever got ported. I'm gonna have to deal myself. I'm getting to use a fan translation, but I don't know. I have to see what the progress of it is. I don't know if they've done like the whole game or if it's partly done. And I would also need to figure out like, you know, what version of the game do I need and how to patch it. I haven't ever played a Sega Saturn game, and I also have never emulated one, so I'm not too familiar with like, you know, how they work or anything. This emulator that I'm using can emulate Sega Saturn. It's basically like, it's called Fusion, and it can emulate any Sega anything. But I haven't used the Sega Saturn functionality yet, so I'll have to see how that works, I guess. But yeah, so depending on whether there's actually like a translation of all 3 parts or not at this point, I may or may not do that. But I'm hoping there is, so I can play it. And at that point, that won't literally be every single game in this continuity that are in the same world, but it'll be like all of the, most at least, of the Shining Force games that are called that and are tactics RPGs. Because the very first Shining game, not the Shining Force, but Shining, the full Shining series, of which Shining Force is a part, called Shining in the Darkness, technically, I think the world it's set in is technically connected to the other Shining Force games. Like, the setting is referenced at some point. But that's the thing, these games are mostly all set in, like these 2 Gaiden games are connected to Shining Force 1, obviously, but beyond that, Shining Force 2 is its own thing. And Shining in the Darkness, and Shining Force 3, I believe, is also its own thing. They sort of are loosely in the same setting, but in different parts of it, and so they tend to just make, like, little references to the other parts of the setting. You don't seem to have to know about the other games, articulate. Um, so like, you know, the ones that aren't tactics games, I'm like, whatever. I'm just interested in all of the Shining Force games. That's just an arbitrary thing I decided to do. I don't really need to do all of the other vaguely related ones. But yeah, there are a couple of other Shining games that were still in this continuity. Like I think it's Shining the Holy Ark. I think that might be the one that like I think it just like briefly mentions this setting, so it's like very obliquely related. It's like very loosely related. If I remember, it's set like 20 years before Shining Force 1 or something. So it's just sort of vaguely in the same continuity. Shining Wisdom, I think Sarah and Kazin from Shining Force 2 appear in that game, but I don't think they're not like major characters or anything. They're also there. But so it's like it's in the same setting loosely, but it's not like it's a sequel or something. It's just sort of it's in like the extended universe of the Shining Force games. So I'm meh on playing those. These are the games that I'm like, these are the games that I played as a kid, and the ones connected to those, you know, that I'm like, this is reminiscent of those. So I'm probably not gonna do Shining the Holy Ark or Shining with them. They're just not as relevant to my interests. It also seems from reading about them on Wikipedia, it seems like they're much longer than these. So it's like it would take a really long time, and it would be something that I'm not that interested in the first place. If they were short, maybe I'd be like, I could blast it out, but sadly, there apparently are other things that seem to be connected to Shining Force that were all for Japanese mobile, so I can't play those. Maybe there's a way to emulate them that I'm just not familiar with. That's certainly possible, but I'm not familiar with it, so I can't do it. I have a feeling it would be a massive pain in the ass to do. And also, I don't think there's any translations of them, so I wouldn't be able to understand anything that was happening, so it would not be particularly great. I believe, now one thing I may do is that, based on my perusal of the Wikipedia list of Shining games, there was a Game Boy Advance game which was basically a remake of the first Shining Force game, Shining Force 1. But it was like not just a graphical remake, but it has like updated. She's not going to do a lot to the skeleton because Freeze doesn't do a lot to the undead, but it'll hurt the sniper, and it's something for her to do. We need to get her X. Like, at least the Hell Sniper took a good hit. See, it does, like, that's Freeze 2, and it did, like, nothing to the skeleton. That's, like, the equivalent of Blaze 1. But yeah, it's not just, like, a graphical remake or anything, but, like, a fully updated story with, like, added characters and new elements and stuff. So that could be fun to do. You know, it's kind of like a... You know, this is the updated version of this game that I enjoyed a lot. So I might do that. Although again, it really doesn't matter because probably no one will ever see any of these. Maybe I'll start posting them at some point. But again, even if I start posting them, I'm pretty sure no one would see them anyway because I don't think the YouTube algorithm would surface them. I don't know how all that works, but I'm gonna guess this is not like the kinds of content it's looking for. Some quality content right here. But like, at least it'll exist somewhere other than my hard drive, I guess. Out there in the world. But yeah, Shining Force Final Conflict, I definitely want to play through. Although that, I think, is like not a Sega CD thing. I think it's like, it might be Game Gear. I have to check. But, and I do want to do Shining Force 3 because that seems cool. Very nice. Little dodge there. Ah, second attack! That's fucking bullshit. Then after that, I'm gonna dig through and see which of them I actually feel like doing. Let's just finish him off with Blaze 1. Guarantee kill. Natasha's an extra X. Excellent. But yeah, it's interesting looking at the full list of all the various Shining Force games. There's a lot of different remakes, so it kind of seems like They had something that was pretty successful back in the 90s, and then they just struggled to kind of get that the vibe back. Maybe it's a lot of remakes. Apparently, all of these games were remade for Japanese mobile, based on the Wikipedia list. I think I'll. I think Freeze 1 should do it. Because that'll do like 9 points, right? Perfect. I did 8. Well, that's fine. But, there were also some like other later stuff like Shining Tears, and I think there's like Shining Feather or Wing or something like that, but those are in like a different continuity. They're not connected to the Shining Force universe. They are just Shining games. Which is kind of fascinating. I guess it's sort of like Final Fantasy, where you have this like series of games that they're not connected by like being set in the same world or having the same characters or story necessarily. There are not that many of them are direct sequels of each other, but they're sort of all loosely connected as this game universe. I mean, obviously Fire Emblem, has a similar thing where it's like a style of game rather than a world or setting. It's like a little, I don't know, subgenre. I'm not sure how you put that, but Shining has that going on too. Although I feel like post 90s, I feel like it's not as big. At the very least, it's certainly not as famous as Final Fantasy, I would say for sure. But I feel like the Shining games aren't necessarily that well known. But that's also coming from a US-based perspective, so I don't know if maybe they're super big in Japan or something. I'm not familiar with the market. Yeah, there's piles of them, but most of them are not Shining Force games. Sadly, there was a Shining Force game. It's funny, Wikipedia listed as the first Shining Force game in a decade that's not a remake, but it was for Japanese mobile. So I'm like, well, oh well. I guess that one will have to stay a mystery. I guess I will go this way after all, because as I suspected, the Master Mage moved to the left. Graham can go get the chest, though. He has good moves. This will be a very leisurely episode. We'll probably run over, just because it's a really long map. It takes a while to get anywhere. But yeah, there are still, it's funny. I bought the capture card. I think I already mentioned this probably way back in Shining Force 1, but what the fuck ever. My lifestyle is I just tell the same stories over and over again. I'm not a very interesting person. But I bought a capture card just because I always thought it would be cool to learn how to make video captures and stuff. And I got a new credit card at the time, and it was one of those cards that came with one of those you get a bonus points if you spend a certain amount of money in the first month. And I was like, well, this is something I've always been I'd like to buy one of those, and that this is an opportunity to do that. Sure, I'm gonna do it and get a capture card and microphone. Not that I'm using either right now, because this is OBS and a headset I got free from work. From my previous job even, I've just had it for 6 years. It still works fine. I don't use it very often. But I was like, that'll be cool. I'll try it. And so I did that. And at the time, I was like, I should teach myself how to use it and see how it works. And the console that I had, the only console I own that uses an HDMI cable, I'm pretty sure, is the Switch. Because the only other consoles I had were I have a fucking used PS2 and stuff that's old as shit. And a used Wii, which did that use? No, that didn't use HDMI. I don't think. I remember plugging in the cables for it. So that was what I had, and that was what I was playing. And I was like, I'll record something from that. And then I was like, what should I record? And most of the games I had at the time were hella long RPGs that I was halfway through, so they didn't seem to make sense. And then the one thing I did have was I had the Sega Anniversary Collection digital download that I got for $3. It has a lot of games I played as a kid. And then among them was Shining Force, a game I liked as a kid. So I was like, I'll record that. That'll be fun. Just as a little test recording. And then once I had done that, I was like, Shining Force 2 is on the same game, you know, it's available also. Why not? And then once I had done that, it was like, you know what we need is, you know, there's so many, the Shining Force games I never played, but also sort of Hajya, this one I played as a kid, I could get them on emulator and record those too. That would be cool. And then one thing led to another, and I'm like, so basically, as opposed to me being like, I should learn how to make videos and like maybe film some stuff, this is just like, I should become the Shining Force player. That is my my quest. Even though, like, I liked the Shining Force games as a kid, but I wasn't like that big of an aficionado or anything. It's sometimes you just make arbitrary decisions in life that just spiral into something strange. These are pretty fun, I have to say. So, no regrets, I guess. I mean, it's not like I had anything else on hand that I was like, this is what I would record. And again, it's not like I have an audience, so whatever. But who knows? Maybe there's a hypothetical audience out there that loves Shining Force and was like, if only there was a channel that did nothing but record old Shining Force games for my perusal and ramble about nothing over top of them as commentary. Like, people who love Shining Force and also are those people who like watch YouTube videos to fall asleep, like on low volume. Maybe that's the market here. Yeah, maybe eventually I will actually post these, and that won't cause anyone to watch them, but it'll be like, hypothetically someone could, which is kind of fun. Trying to just gradually creep around this corner without exposing the force to like just being attacked by literally everything, because there's a lot of enemies clumped up there. Was there anyone else who got seriously injured? We took some hits in there. Actually Ben is, but again, no one's next to him, so... Trying to just checkerboard us a little so the Master Mage can't just destroy us. Okay. Ah, good, we can finally heal up man. And after this battle, we will actually need 2 new party members, one of whom I generally don't use, and one of whom I usually always use. Because that's basically how their usefulness is. One of them is kind of useless and the other is amazing. Thus. Maybe I'll just have her, like, smack him. I'll save her MP for a time when it can do something more useful. It's not very effectual. But whatevs. Oh man, now we could give the KO to webs. Dawn doesn't need it though. Yeah, she can attack the other brass loader. If they kill the May, get a little extra X. Make sure my wizards stay competitive. Excellent. Man, she actually didn't get that much from that KO. Like, are we mildly over-leveled somehow? I haven't level grinded at all yet. We actually have not. I ultimately probably will, so that we can get everyone up to max level, but we haven't yet. I gotta be careful, he still has enough for another Blaze 3. But yeah, we're almost like, maybe around like, maybe next chapter, that'll be like the last of chapter 2, or like at the start of chapter 3, you know, all dual grinding. Because I do want to get them all to 20 before we promote, just because I like to. But that obviously will take a substantial amount of grinding if we want them to like be in their promoted classes for any reasonable amount of time. Because it's not that long of a game. I guess let's have Natasha use up the last of her MP, get in these two guys. Excellent. Okay. Very good. Slade, you actually cannot do a whole lot. So, I'm moving Eric so that we don't have a people right next to each other, which will be dangerous because of the Master Mage. I think I'm actually not going to have Dawn attack because I'd rather get to kill someone else. I'll have her attack the priest. This is a risky play. We could end the level right here, but I don't want to squander any X, you know. May. Oh, she doesn't have enough for her multi-target spell, but she can at least finish off this guy. Very good. A little extra there. And we're stacking everyone up, which is dangerous here, but you know, I'm going high risk to maximize the number of things we can kill. And you know what, Jaha, let's wrap it up. There we go. He's on level 10. You can use the X. Very good. Very nice and tidy. Tell me, has Prince Nick of Cyprus been taken hostage? I feel like I did a slightly different voice there. Yes, it's true. He's being held at Algum. The fort there is impenetrable. As a side note here, that's not a word. The word they wanted was impenetrable with an M. But I can see why that would be confusing, because that's English uses both of those sort of indiscriminately. So it's true, Cyprus was defeated, and the prince is being held captive at the fort in Algum. Everyone in the boat, we're going to Algum. Mayfair is like super dedicated to Prince Nick. Now that we know he's captured, it's like we gotta set off at once. Although it really seems like this might be a bad idea. Our army is very tiny, and this is an impenetrable fort. Now, a cutscene. This may run over a little bit. That's fine. We'll watch the cutscene. Oh wait, no, it's not yet. Yeah, first we have this battle to get on the boat. You've gotten this far, but you're not taking Iom's boat. Attack them. Don't let them near the ship. So we gotta fight our way to this boat. Ben, there's Iom's ship. We must defeat them to get to the ship. Oh man, sneezing approaching. Oh, always when I'm recording! What is happening? So as you can see, this is, I'm just gonna go over it quickly before we cut the vid for the next battle. This is another map that's sort of long and winding. Sorry I sound really congested now also. A lot of sneezing is happening. I really need to vacuum. It's a sort of a long, winding battle we have to wrap around the ship, and we have one particular enemy who, we have a couple chests, as you can see. Quite a few. But we have this boat looks really tiny. I just had this brightest done, but it looks like it looks like a rowboat. It's so small. But this battle was very, very difficult in the original game. And it's quite different actually. This guy has Blaze 3 in the original game, if I'm remembering right, and I'm pretty sure I am because I remember this map layout. It's like burned into my brain because it was so painful to fight. This Master Mage here had Freeze 3. And as we saw in the last battle, Freeze 3 in this game, much like in Shining Force 2, just has the plus sign shape. It can only affect a maximum of 5 enemies, who are immediately adjacent to each other. In the original version of this game, on Game Gear, it actually had a 3x3 shape, more like the high levels of Bolt in some of the games. It had that, and as we talked about before, Freeze 3 was bugged, so you had this battle pretty darn early on in the game, right? When we're not, this is the end of chapter 2, so we're like halfway through. Most of our characters have like less than 30 HP, right? I think actually everyone does. I don't think there's a single character that has more. Freeze 3 could do 40 to 50 damage, so it was basically an instant kill, and it had a very large range. So this battle involved like counting the squares he could move and like carefully arranging everyone, baiting him in with one person, because it was also very hard to get close enough to kill him in one turn. He has a fair amount of HP in defense. and a high range spell, and then just trying to blast him down before he could kill everyone. It was very difficult. It made this battle very memorable and also very painful to do. However, they fixed that. So now I think this battle will probably be quite straightforward. Um, but that will have to happen in the next video. So thank you for watching, hypothetical viewers, as I basically just rambled on about my hypothetical future plans or recordings that I'm not showing anyone. So hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you will look forward to the next battle when we will commandeer a boat and meet 2 new friends.